I moved into the apartment on a rainy Thursday afternoon. The ad had promised cozy vibes, low rent, and a quiet roommate. Exactly what I needed after the chaos of my last living situation. The place was old, tucked behind a crumbling bookstore, with peeling green paint and narrow stairwells that creaked like they had secrets to keep. My roommate Ellis wasn't home when I arrived. Just a note on the fridge in neat, spidery handwriting. "Welcome. I sleep during the day. Please don't enter my room." Fair enough, I thought. I worked nights at a security desk downtown. Our schedules wouldn't overlap much anyway. The apartment smelled faintly of damp earth and something metallic. Not strong, but enough to notice. The hallway outside Ellis's room was always a few degrees colder, like a draft was slipping in from somewhere it shouldn't. Every night I'd return to find small changes. A chair moved slightly. My toothbrush angled differently in its cup. Once I woke to find all the cabinet doors wide open. Still, Ellis never emerged, not even once. I told myself he was just eccentric. I didn't know then how wrong I was, and how inhuman eccentric could really be. The nights grew heavier, like the air itself was thickening with each passing hour. I'd lie awake after my shift, the glow of the hallway nightlight spilling under my door, except sometimes it flickered. Not like a faulty bulb. It pulsed, slow and deliberate, like something was breathing just outside. I started hearing things. Not loud, just soft rustles like fingertips brushing the walls. And sometimes, the floorboards creaked in a pattern too precise to be settling wood. Once, at 3:14 a.m., I heard something slide across the kitchen tiles. I waited, heart pounding, but when I checked, nothing. Just the old fridge humming. Ellis still hadn't shown his face. His door remained closed, yet sometimes I'd hear murmurs from within. Not voices, just murmurs, like words being formed in a mouth not made to speak. One evening I left a note by his door. "All good on your end?" The next morning it was gone. In its place, a perfectly folded origami bird sat on the floor. It was made from my grocery receipt. I hadn't told anyone I was missing it. That night, the hallway was colder than ever, and the walls, they felt like they were listening. I woke one night to the sound of dripping, steady, deliberate, not from the faucet. This came from the hallway, slow and wet, like something leaking through the ceiling. Half asleep, I cracked my door open. The light was out. Only moonlight spilled in through the small window by the kitchen, casting long, distorted shadows along the warped floorboards. The drip echoed off the walls, impossibly loud. I crept forward, barefoot, the cold wood biting into my skin. The sound led me to Ellis's door. There was something smeared across the floor beneath it, dark, sticky. I reached for the light switch, but it sparked under my fingers and died, leaving me in a strange, humming silence. Then the doorknob turned, just slightly, a soft click, then nothing. I stumbled backward. From behind the door, I heard a sound I will never forget, a low, rhythmic gurgle, like someone trying to breathe through water. It wasn't human. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in my room, lights on, trying to ignore the faint scratching behind my wall. In the morning, the smear was gone. So was the receipt bird. But carved into my door, etched deep and fresh, were 3 words. You were seen. The next day, I skipped work. I couldn't focus, couldn't think. I kept replaying the sound behind Ellis's door, that wet, choking gasp. It didn't belong to anything I'd ever heard. I needed answers, even if part of me didn't want them. I started in the kitchen, combing through drawers and cupboards. Nothing unusual until I found the crawl space. A narrow panel in the pantry wall, half hidden behind cleaning supplies. I only noticed it because one of the brooms had fresh, dark stains on the handle. When I pulled the panel aside, a gust of cold, sour air rushed out. The space inside was cramped, barely lit by a rusted utility bulb. Strange etchings lined the walls, symbols I didn't recognize, looping and jagged, like something scratched in panic. In the corner sat a small metal box. Inside were scraps of paper, receipts, torn notebook pages, even a corner of what looked like a driver's license. All of them had the same 3 words scrawled across them in spidery ink. You were seen. I backed out, heart racing, and nearly slammed into a woman standing in the hallway. She wasn't my neighbor. I'd never seen her before. And her eyes, they were pitch black, no whites, no iris. Just void. She didn't speak, just stood there, watching me with those depthless eyes that felt like falling. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. Then she blinked, once, slowly, and turned, vanishing down the hall without a sound. I didn't follow. I couldn't move. Since that night, everything's been wrong. The lights flicker even when the power's fine. My reflection sometimes lags behind in the mirror, holding expressions I'm not making. I hear whispers when the tap runs, like voices just under the water, saying things I can't understand but feel, like a cold hand on the back of my neck. Ellis's door is still shut, but now they're scratching from the inside, long, drawn-out claws against wood. I tried recording it. The playback is silent, except for a single drawn-out breath at the end. I haven't left the apartment in days. The outside feels unreal now, too bright, too still. I sleep in short bursts, waking each time with a jolt, certain someone was standing over me. Sometimes I catch glimpses in the corner of my vision, a shape hunched low, watching. Every receipt I find now, at the store, in my pocket, even in old jackets, bears the same message, always in that same ink. You were seen. I think I finally believe it. Last night something changed. I woke to silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that hums with threat, as if the air itself is holding its breath. Ellis's door was wide open. I don't remember getting out of bed, but I was suddenly standing there, staring into the dark void beyond the frame. The room was impossibly deep, far larger than the apartment should allow. Walls pulsed faintly, like they were made of something organic, flesh-like and warm. I stepped inside. The floor squelched underfoot. In the center of the room, floating above a nest of shredded receipts, photos, and paper scraps, was Ellis, or what Ellis had once been. His body was thin, stretched, arms too long, head twitching like a broken metronome. His face was shifting, constantly, cycling through countless human features, none of them quite right. But every face, every mouth repeated the same phrase in a hoarse whisper. You were seen, you were seen, you were seen. Behind him, etched into the far wall in something that glistened like blood, was a map. Lines spiraled out from our building, curling into other places, names, dates, faces. Mine was there. My name, my birthday, and tomorrow's date. Circled in red, I stood frozen, staring at my name, circled, underlined, marked. The air was thick, pulsing with something ancient and hungry. Ellis, or the thing that had worn his name, turned to me fully now. Its face split down the middle, not like a wound, but like a curtain peeling back. There was no inside. Just eyes, so many eyes. Tiny, lidless, blinking independently in an endless spiral that reached deep into a place I couldn't comprehend. You let it in, it whispered, in 100 voices not my own. You saw it. The room began to collapse, not with force, but with forgetting. Walls crumbled into static, furniture melted into shadow, reality peeled like paint. I could feel myself unraveling, memories flickering like dying bulbs. My first birthday, my mother's face, the taste of rain. Gone. Something stepped out of the void behind Ellis. A towering figure draped in shifting skin, faces stitched to its chest like masks. They opened their mouths in silent screams as it approached. You were chosen, it said without speaking, to carry the memory, to be seen always. I tried to run, but there was no door anymore. Only darkness and the sound of pages turning inside my head. Receipts, endless receipts. I woke up in my bed. Sunlight poured in through the curtains. Birds chirped. The apartment was quiet. Ellis's door was closed again. No sign of damage, no darkness, no spiraling faces, just stillness. For a moment, I convinced myself it had been a nightmare, some fevered hallucination. Until I saw the receipt pinned to my bedroom door. It wasn't ink this time. The words were burned in. You remembered. That was the mistake. I stumbled into the kitchen. My phone was gone. My wallet, too. Every drawer had been emptied, replaced with neatly folded receipts, dozens of them. Each had someone else's name and a date, all in the past. Except one. Mine, today. And then I noticed something else. Every name on those receipts. They were missing people. People I'd heard about in the news, disappearances with no explanation, no trace. Now they were here, filed away like purchases in a ledger. The truth hit like ice. This thing doesn't just haunt, it archives. It collects the scene. And I'd seen too much. A knock echoed at the door, soft, polite. My reflection smiled before I did. Then whispered, "We're ready for your receipt." And my door slowly creaked open. I didn't open the door. I couldn't. But it opened anyway, slowly, without force, like it had been waiting for the moment I knew it would. There was nothing on the other side, no figure, no monster. Just a mirror, tall, freestanding, ornate, not mine, not part of the apartment. I stared at it. My reflection blinked. I didn't. It stepped forward. I didn't move. I watched, paralyzed, as it reached out and pressed its palm against the glass. The mirror didn't ripple or shatter. I did. Something pulled behind my eyes like invisible hooks reeling me backward. The room twisted, reality snapping like brittle thread. In the mirror, my reflection stepped fully through, adjusting its shirt, blinking my eyes, smiling my smile. It turned to the door, picked up a grocery bag waiting just outside, and walked out into my life. I tried to scream, but there was no sound. Just glass, and the endless echo of receipts fluttering, printed one by one in the dark. My name fades from memory, even mine, and somewhere in someone else's home a roommate moves in, quiet, polite, invisible, and very much not human. You saw it, and now it sees through you.